I'm here with Space, the off-tank for the LA Gladiators. Just after your match against the Vancouver Titans, it was a really close game. I was calling it with Bren. It really felt, at least from watching it, that it could have gone either way. Coming into it, they're the finalists from 2019. They're really well respected, and they got Fisher now on the team as well, who's just like a ridiculously skilled main tank. What kind of expectations did you and the rest of your team have for this match?
I mean, just play alpha. Like, don't be scared at all. I think throughout season 2, like, there was teams that dominated, like, the top 3, like New York, Shock, Vancouver, and everyone was really, really scared of them.
Yeah.
But I think coming into season 3, like, people, after, like, you figure it out and you see what's wrong, like, what teams were doing wrong, like, you don't get scared anymore, and people kind of play with confidence, especially if you're a new team. You don't really have anything to lose. So that was our goal, just play really confident and don't even worry about what they're doing.
It seemed like you guys had some specific swaps for Dorado as well. OG came back in. You had Mira playing the Pharah as well at the beginning, and then they came out with the Genji. Did that go how you expected it to go, or was there a different kind of plan in mind there?
Yeah, are you talking Genji on Hanamura or Dorado specifically?
Well, I guess they started it on Hanamura, yeah. So you must have had some inkling that it was going on.
Yeah. On Hanamura, we did not expect that at all. That was the first team that we've seen play dive on that map. So that was just really like kind of cheese for us. Like we didn't know how to adapt. But yeah, so we went over it again and said like we just have to play more tight and play more compact. And then coming into Dorado, that's kind of how we played. Like, don't spread out as much, because if we spread out, like, they're gonna go on your backline every time. So our goal was to kind of play more compact and don't give them the opportunity. And it worked much better on Dorado. But Hanamura, we didn't see that coming at all.
It's always weird at the beginning of a season because the meta, you have no match data to go off. You can't really tell. It's all just based on like scrims and how you've done, how other teams have done. Does that make it harder for you guys as a new team, or at least a team that's trying to develop synergy, or does it just give you the freedom to experiment? What's your feel about that?
I think the freedom to experiment, like, I think we shouldn't copy other teams, kind of play what our play style is and, play what fits, like, the meta. Because you look at GOATs, right? It's a good example that a lot of teams force GOATs, even though they weren't good at GOATs. Like, look at Valiant, for example, in Season 1. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't know, we were good at GOATs, but there were just some swaps that were a little questionable. But as an example, just like Shanghai and Chengdu, they didn't play GOATs, right? And then towards the end of the season, people stopped playing GOATs. We were playing triple DPS, Fair Mercy. Like, GOATs wasn't working as much. And then the meta swapped completely. So I think just playing your playstyle is much better than forcing a comp just because you think it's broken. I think just copying that kind of Shanghai, Chengdu mentality of just like, this is what we play and we can perfect this. And then if we have to swap, we can learn other comps. But I think that's much better than just copying other teams.
Do you think there is a comp that's broken at the moment and teams are just playing their own style, or is it that the meta really is just kind of up in the air?
Yeah, I think honestly right now it's more like just Mei and Diva are really strong, and then people are kind of playing around that, because you saw even in this match, it's like we played Monkey, we played Ryan, Orisa, like there was a lot of different variables and different DPSs, but it's just like there's 2 solid characters right now, which I would say probably Mei and probably Diva are like the most consistently played. And then other than that, like everything is up in the air. So right now it's a little different, but I think as we play, it'll probably settle down.
We're seeing a couple of teams, yourselves included, on Hanamura running the Ryan Orisa. We got to see the special Space Orisa, which I don't think I've ever seen before. I don't know whether you played it before. Yeah, that's a special one. That does seem to be like the style that people are playing outside of the Ryan Diva stuff. What's your feel on that composition, especially after you've said that Diva seems to be like so, maybe not overtuned, but like so important at the moment, especially with like the booster changes and stuff. What's your feel on the Ryan Orisa comp?
I think it honestly depends on what the other characters are on the other team. Like, if you have Ryan Diva, it depends what the next characters are, and you can play Ryan Orisa into it. And it depends on their play style, because we played Ryan Orisa, and we played against New York, and it was really, really hard to play against their Ryan Diva, because they play so slow and so like flanky and backlinish, and we were just like, we can't do this. Like, we'll go Ryan Diva. So I think it depends on how the other team is playing. But Ryan Orisa is really strong, like, for defense and pushing into their Ryan, like, because if they have one shield, you can kind of overwhelm that Reinhardt. But if the other team plays it well, like, they can still flank and get around you. Like, that's what the Diva is really good at. So I think the Ryan Diva might be better, and we were kind of experimenting on Ryan Orisa because we practice it so much. But Ryan Diva might just be superior to it because you can get so much more value out of your Diva.
You guys have made a lot of changes in the offseason. I say you guys. You weren't even part of the Gladiators previously. I mean, the Valiants made a lot of changes as well. When you got ported over to the Gladiators and you paired up with OG, I know that that's been something that you guys were looking forward to for quite a while, or at least that's something that you tweeted about and talked about a lot. What's it like playing with a brand new team after 2 seasons of playing with the Valiant and being involved in basically everything for them for as long as I can think of?
It was definitely unexpected. I feel like it was more like a organization change, like a shift in what the organization wanted, because the roster was actually really good, and we could have made it. We always been close to making it far, and I really like playing on that team, so it was unexpected. But Gladiators was definitely like a main option for me. Like I was really happy when I heard I was going to Glads because I know David and I know Big Goose and Chaz are all really good players, really good coaches, and the environment is really good here. So I'm happy that we have a new team because it's kind of like a fresh slate for me. Like I don't have to look back and be like, man, if only we did this differently, did this differently. It's like more like I come into this and this is like our first thing. Like this match is like my first thing where it's like, all right, we can learn from this and we can build and get stronger. So I'm not really worried about it.
What kind of stuff have you guys been working on? I mean, the community perception of your team is that the tank line is explosive, a lot of talent there. Although you've been playing with Cloudy, most people I think were expecting you to play with OG. And a lot of the question marks are revolving around the DPS line and like how well you guys are going to fit together, particularly birdring, somebody that has had his ups and downs, has been inconsistent and all over the place. And no one really knows whether he's going to be like great birdring or whether he's just going to either flop or not feel like it or whatever. What's your experience been so far of these guys, and where do you think their ceiling is?
Yeah, I think for me, like birdring's kind of a different story. Like it's similar to a lot of the other players in the league when roll lock was introduced, or goats kind of came in. A lot of players like Pine, Sabob, like birdring, all these players that didn't know how to play Zarya, and then you have a player like Sinatra who was insane at Zarya, just dominated everybody. So like that for a DPS player probably hurt a lot mentally, and I think that was one of the things with birdring was just like he had too much mentally on him, but he's still an amazing player, still like a good leader and a good teammate. And I think for Mir and Jaru, like I honestly didn't even know Mir before he came into my team, so I was like, who is this kid? But they have a lot of potential because they're fresh out of contenders. They weren't even nervous today in our first match, which is really good. So I'm proud of them, and I think they definitely have a high ceiling.
That's pretty special to not be nervous at all. Stepping out on your first big stage at the first homestand in 2020, you're playing against the Vancouver Titans, and the guys are just chill as ice. They're
cold-blooded for sure.
That's pretty crazy. So your team has a bit of a break now before you go back into playing against your opposition, specifically because of the China situation with coronavirus and stuff, and the leagues had to mess around with those matches that would have been happening. What's your feel about roll lock? Because hero pools. Yeah, because when you guys come back to play, it seems like hero pools is going to be a fairly big thing. Do you think that benefits your team or not? Like, what's your general feel about hero pools being added to the matches in the Overwatch League?
I think for me, the hero pools is, hopefully it matches up with ranked. That's like a must so that we can actually practice. And then map pools too. That would be pretty sick if those matched up. But I think the hero pools kind of makes it fundamentals, like the team that's trust each other the most. And, I wouldn't say there's going to be mechanical stuff where it's like this player might just be better than you at that character that got banned, Like if I only play D.Va and D.Va gets banned, you have to practice hard and it'll catch you off guard. So I think just fundamentals and trust and like being a really good team, like, no matter what the meta is, you guys have this play style and you guys can trust each other to do that is going to be the most important thing.
We were talking about Sinatra a little bit earlier when you were saying his transition over to Zarya. You played with him when it came to the World Cup recently. You're a World Cup winner. Is it on your jersey somewhere? No?
No, tragedy.
That really is a tragedy. I thought I saw a picture of it somewhere. It was like on a jacket or something. I don't know. What, they're scamming you now?
Yeah, actually, it's probably only for Sinatra. Just Sinatra's jacket is USA and like the MVP, but nobody else got it.
That's actually brutal. You got absolutely robbed. What was the experience like playing at the World Cup? Was it... obviously, it must have been fantastic to be able to win, but you were surrounded by players that are like the same caliber as you on a Western level. You've always been talked about as like the best Western off tank, and it's been a while since we've seen other North American players really be at that kind of level, especially with the guys from the Shock then coming in and having that experience of winning the championship, potentially imparting knowledge and stuff like that. What was the feel there when it came to the Team USA?
I mean, it was pretty crazy to me, honestly, because as you said, it was always like they put me at the top of the list for North American players. Like they always said, "Oh, Space is the best North American player. Like nobody's better than him." And then seeing Shock go from a team that we beat every day, like 6-0, like never come close to us, to just absolutely smoking everybody, including me, was just it honestly made me proud of how much Super and Sinatra and Moth improved, and all the players on Shock, because like those are my boys for real. Like I really like those guys. So it just gave me more confidence in my play style as a Western player. Just like I don't have to be scared of any of these players. Like if I just play my game, we'll win. And I synergize really well with those guys because we've known each other for so long. And when you have like a friendly relationship with somebody, you don't have to be scared to give advice or like be awkward about it because we're all chill. So I just learned a lot about confidence and being like doing my play. Like not getting scared of any of that. So that's the biggest things I took away.
Were you disappointed not to be able to flex your Sigma on the stage now that we've come back to 2020? I know everyone wants to get rid of the double shield meta, but Sigma is a pretty fun hero to play, and you were pretty sick at it in the World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. Like it was pretty sad it was pretty sad not to be able to play it today. But coming into scrims for this season 3 was just like Sigma is impossible to play. Like even against Ryan Orisa, it's like impossible to play, and against Ryan Diva, it'd probably just be even worse because May can just run into you and freeze you, and you just die every time. So I wouldn't expect anybody to play Sigma unless it's like double sniper. But yeah, I don't think we'll see Sigma for a while.
What's your feel on off tank as a role this year? It used to be a Diva bot. Like I mean, not that people were bots at Diva, but you only had to play that one hero essentially. And now it seems like you're not only going to have to play Diva, you're going to have to play maybe Orisa as well, maybe Wrecking Ball, maybe like a bunch of different tanks. What do you feel about that shift generally, and like what it does to off tank play overall?
I mean, it's gonna be pretty crazy. It's gonna be a wild ride just to see like who can mechanically be the best at every character that gets banned. I think we're definitely gonna have to play main tanks more this season. But since it's only one tank that gets banned, I'm sure we will still play off tanks. Like maybe Zarya will come back, Sigma will come back, Roadhog, Diva. There's always going to be one option, I think. But I still feel like it's going to be much more like mechanics and fundamental and just like synergizing with your main tank for sure. Like whoever has the best synergy is going to win for sure.
Okay, give me your feel about the other matches that we've got going on. I mean, just off screen here, we've got Dallas about to play against the Valiant, but this interview's not going to come out in time for that, so I'll spare you that one. But then we've got Valiant going up against the Vancouver Titans. You've already got a feel for the Vancouver Titans, and you've got Dallas Shock coming up later on. What's your feel for how these teams will play out at this homestand, and then maybe where they roughly rank overall? Like, what kind of feel do you have?
For Dallas, just to start on Dallas, I feel like we played them a few times, so I can't really give you a great answer. I feel like they had aggressive playstyle, but also passive playstyle at the same time. And I think Valiant is gonna definitely do really good this season from what I've seen in scrims and just talking to KSF, who's like kind of become more of a leader this year, and kind of took over for the younger guys that are new to the league. I think they'll do really good, and it's just depending on how they deal with pressure. Like our team was like, is Jaru or Mira going to crack under pressure? And they didn't, and we did pretty well and better than I expected. So that's just the biggest thing for Valiant is to make sure that they're confident in their play, I think. And then Shock, you already know Shock, they're going to be good no matter what. Matching up against Dallas, I don't think they'll have any pressure for the crowd. Like, this is nothing for them. So it's going to be really hard for Dallas, and I think that will just depend on how they play and if they stick to their play style. Because Shock is like the new New York of Season 1, where when you play New York, everyone was super scared. Like, nobody stuck to their plan. We all just started to crumble in fear until someone beat them, and then everyone was like, okay, we can all beat you now, right? So that's, like, the one thing with Shock is, like, everyone's really scared when they play against them. But I think once one team beats them, it'll kind of change up.
What about Vancouver Titans? You still think they're a top two kind of team?
Yeah, I think they stuck to their play style for sure. Like, you could tell this match that no matter what the meta is, like, those guys are going to go aggressive, and you just have to prepare for that. And you can counter it with either playing really passive like New York, which is really hard to do unless you prepare a lot, or play more aggressive, which is what we tried to do, but just couldn't come up on top. So that was kind of unlucky, but I think they're always going to be a strong team.
if they're a strong team, potentially top 2, and you guys take them to 5 maps, and some of those are really close and potentially could have gone the other way. What are you guys feeling about your season coming up?
I think everyone else is below us for sure. Just look at the top. We go for Vancouver and we go for Shock. Those are the 2 teams to beat, and then everyone else just has to be irrelevant. Like we can't drop a map. Is gonna be my mentality coming in. Like, it will be unacceptable.
There you go. No pressure for Jaru or Mira, the new people coming in. It is unacceptable to drop a map. Well, you heard it here from Space. I'll leave him. That's his only match of the homestand. So thanks, and good luck with your future matches and future homestands whenever you get over to them.